Scandalous B, scandalous B, scandalous, scandalous BBC.
Hello, I'm Mark Vosier, and I'm entirely responsible for this video. I got into the BBC on the back of pictures like these. I left the BBC after being marked as a troublemaker. I had accused my manager of giving unadvertised, unauthorised work to her husband at licence fee payer's expense. More on that in a minute. Now, traditionally, whistleblowers at the BBC are treated appallingly. Take Matt Wiesler, for example. He was the graphics designer who first raised alarms about that Martin Bashir Princess Diana interview. And because he was only freelance, the corporation stopped his work on orders from the top. And you can read much more about just how unfairly Matt Wiesler was treated in Dianorama, written by Andy Webb, who for 25 years battled with the BBC for the info that led to the exposure of Martin Bashir. And what about another whistleblower, Laurie Mayer? Remember him? A former BBC 6 o'clock and breakfast news presenter, followed by years at Sky News. Now, this guy correctly called it out on intimidation and bullying in the BBC's Tunbridge Wells studios. And because he was only on a 6-month contract, he was got rid of as well. Now, after the Hugh Edwards debacle, things have moved on a little. This is what Tim Davie, the Director General of the BBC, told MPs in September.
We're not mucking around now. If you're not living the values, it is clear you leave the BBC or there are consequences. And you can see that among public figures, but that's happening internally as well. But we need to deal with those individuals, and we are. That's a change.
I'm asking the BBC board to investigate my former manager, Mrs. Laura Ellis, for not living BBC values, unless those values include corruption and perjury. Her name is Laura Ellis, and she's currently the BBC's Head of Technology Forecasting. She represents the corporation at IT seminars and forums. She's the person I accused of giving unadvertised, unauthorised work to her husband at licence fee payer's expense, and she's the person who sacked Laurie Mayer. Now, the BBC Trust investigated Mrs. Ellis and ruled she had sanctioned her husband's employment as a broadcast journalist with BBC Radio Kent, it was over a period of 5 months, that the position was unadvertised, and she'd failed to alert her line manager to the conflict of interest. As for Laurie Mayer, he took his case to an industrial tribunal. The chair concluded, "This has been a sad case involving a much-respected broadcaster who went out on a limb to try to protect his colleagues from bullying and harassment. As a result, he found himself without a job. However, he did reveal ineffective management and a culture of bullying and harassment which caused discontent and suffering among staff. Whistleblowing was the prime reason for the BBC not to renew his contract." On the accusations of perjury, the chair concluded, "One of the more disturbing aspects of this case has been the way the BBC sought retrospectively to blacken his name." Mrs. Ellis's written testimony against Mayer strongly indicates she lied. BBC investigators have known the details for years, but kept them buried. The BBC covered up Bashir's lies for 25 years. The BBC has covered up Laura Ellis's alleged corruption and lies for 23 years. So will Dr. Samir Shah, the chair of the BBC, and Lee Tavaziva, the executive board member responsible for HR, finally appoint a KC or judge to investigate Ellis for alleged indictable corruption, indictable perjury, and for flagrant disregard of standards in public life? Or will the cover-up continue? Thanks for watching.
Scandalous B, scandalous, scandalous B, scandalous.